C&D. Thanks very much, it's very nice to be here. I think nothing convinced me more of the need for a new party of the left than experiencing the party conferences, the major party conferences over the last month. In my capacity from C&D, I actually had to attend all of them to a greater or lesser extent. And I guess it was exactly really what I'd expected. The Liberal Democrats and the Tories, more of the same. More trumpeting about austerity, about privatisation, racism and so on, dressed up as, necessity to protect jobs and so on, and conditions in Britain. All saying that that is what is needed to restore the British economy, to save our societies from further degradation and so on. So opposing austerity and saying that it's the necessity that we have to take our country forward. In actual fact, of course, as we know, austerity is the last thing that we need. It is austerity that's taking our economy downhill. And of course, it's the result, as we all know, of a class struggle waged by the ruling class in order to drive down wages, drive up profits, and end the welfare state. It's totally simple. As someone said recently, there is no plan B for the government because their plan A is actually working. It's not working for us, but it's working for them. And we see a greater disparity in wealth and poverty than we've ever seen before. Okay, so that's what we might expect. Then, of course, you go to Labour, and not only did I find that all the contemporary resolutions about Trident were ruled off the agenda because it wasn't actually contemporary, so there was a big failure of democracy there. But then, what did you get in terms of policies? Well, actually, nothing. There was a bit of a left-wing gloss from Ed Miliband in his leader's speech. Yes, he said he would repeal the bedroom tax and they'll repeal the Health and Social Care Act. Everyone was very pleased about that. But that is a very, very superficial and very small modification of what is basically a pro-austerity programme with virtually no difference from the Lib Dems and the Conservatives. And we don't even hear from them that they will reverse the Tory cuts either when they come into power. And of course, as we see, their so-called famous triangulation, where they try to be more Tory than the Tories by their pronunciations on immigration and benefits. So what can we expect from Labour? Absolutely nothing. We can't expect any advance. We can only expect that Tory policies will be continued. To me, there is no better reason for moving forward, as many of us are hoping to do, towards a new party of the left than that. There is no political representation for the working class. There is no leadership, political leadership, that we can look to, like we may have looked to or hoped to in the past. It's really down to us to try and make something new work. And I hope that many people here will be joining together on the 30th of November to the founding conference of Left Unity to come together, work out what kind of party we need, on what basis, which will take forward people in our society. Because there is no doubt that the policies that are pursued by the current government and will be pursued without a doubt by Labour are leading to people dying. We all know it. We know it because of Atos, and we know it because of the bedroom tax. That is the reality. And if we don't seize the initiative, and if we don't do something, no matter how difficult the circumstances may be, the reality is that our society will result in barbarism. Now, we're not the only country in Europe where the Social Democratic Party that brought things to the working class in the past has gone to the right. That is something that's happened all across Europe. Everywhere in Europe, social democracy has embraced neoliberalism. So that's what's happened over the last couple of decades or more. But we are more or less the only country in Europe where there is no substantial party to the left of social democracy. That is the reality. And you all have heard now of many of them. I'll mention Syriza again, which Stathis will be talking about. That's the great inspiration from Greece. But also we know there's the Dutch Socialist Party that's really had big advances recently. There's Bloco in Portugal, the United Left in Spain, the Left Party in Germany. All these parties to the left of social democracy. Yes, we know they're not perfect. You know, there's no ideal solution. Everyone is dealing with difficult political issues. If you come into government or into regional government, how do you deal with that? We know those debates are going on, but they are rising to the challenge of building representation and political opportunities for a way forward for the working people in their countries. And I believe that that is what we have to do here in Britain as well. Now, it's not easy, and there's no reproducible method of doing that, you know, because in Greece, for example, and other countries, those over the last 2 decades, those parties and political formations have evolved, very often originating in the left-wing parts of former communist parties, or in working together with people from other parts of the revolutionary left, from Trotskyist organisations, from social democrats, left social democrats who've split away from social democratic parties and are looking for an anti-capitalist solution, an anti-capitalist political alternative to meet the challenges facing the working class in those countries. That's the reality. No one's saying that this is some kind of magic panacea which is going to solve everything, but we have to work together as comrades to take those issues forward and struggle to make sure that people have the kind of representation and the alternatives that they deserve and so desperately need. So we don't have a kind of formula to follow here in Britain, because of the historical role of the Labour Party. It was set up by the trade unions to represent the working class, and many people still see it, even now, as the kind of party of organised labour, the organised working class. And we've never historically had a mass communist party on the scale that we've had in other parts of Europe. So it's a different kind of political framework. But we can't say, oh, the conditions don't exist here, because the conditions that exist here are disastrous for ordinary people, for the working class, for the unemployed, for pensioners, for disabled people. This is a disaster that is only going to get worse. So we have to rise to the challenge together, and I hope that in unity, sinking the kind of differences that we have, and not behaving in the way that Peter's talked about, sectarianism and all that sort of thing, that we have to come together and really build an alternative, because that's what the people of this country need. Thank you.